Grace and peace to you, brothers and sisters, in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
Amen. Amen.
The other day, I yelled at my radio, and I have done this frequently to my radio and to TV when the speaker uses grammar incorrectly. Do y'all do that? Yes. There was a senator the other day who did not understand objective pronouns. I blame my mother because she was an English teacher and she yelled at the TV every time somebody did that. So it's either genetic or I just absorbed it. I don't know. But this is Mother's Day. And happy Mother's Day to all of those who are mothers or grandmothers, or who have had mothers or grandmothers, or who have loved other women who have raised them as mothers. We're so grateful for our mothers, and we celebrate them. My mom and my dad put me on a good path, a right path. And I bless them every day for that. Now, I wandered. Yes, I wandered off that path. But I did come back, and I'm glad for it. If there's one thing that I've learned in life the hard way, it's this. If you're going to get anywhere that you really want to end up being, you have to start moving in the right direction and in the right path. Now, I have gotten addicted to the GPS system. I've got Apple CarPlay, and I don't go anywhere weird with, not even here, I put it in. And it tells me when I'm going to arrive and all like that, and it's just wonderful. But you remember the days when we had to ask the AAA to do a triptych for us, and we had to get that big old map out and figure out where we're going, and it was quite an adventure. Of course, GPS can be an adventure sometimes too, because they can send you some crazy places sometimes. But there was one time back, this is years and years ago, where without GPS, I got on an interstate, and I was going down the interstate, and about 10 minutes went by, and I realized, that's weird, it's morning, but the sun is on the wrong side. I was going in the wrong direction, and I had to turn around and get back. So, get on the right path. Of course, you all know how tough it can be, not only to choose that path, to figure out which of many ways that may lie before you is the best one to take, and then to stay on it. That's something I've tried to do purposefully, at least in the last few decades of my life, as purposefully as I could, to try to discern the call of God, discerning the call to the priesthood late in my life, which led me to accept the bishop's appointment as seminarian at St. Paul's in Noonan, where I just enjoyed thoroughly serving there as a seminarian and as a deacon and as an assisting priest. And then it led here, the appointment of the bishop to St. Gabriel's. And I couldn't be more grateful for God's path that he has put me on these past few years. But now what? I'm trying to discern that. Other priorities in life have kind of ganged up on me. And so I'm trying to figure out the next path. Get a little bit of rest too. But to figure out the priorities now for the next phase of my life. And it's not easy for any of us to discern what's the best path for us to take at any age. Well, Thursday was the day of Ascension, when Jesus rose to heaven. This is Ascension Sunday, 40 days after Easter and the resurrection. And the disciples watched as Jesus was taken into heaven, and then two angels were there asking them, "Why are you looking up? Get to work." And they started on a path, these disciples, that would turn the world upside down. which is amazing. Last night we celebrated 20 years of St. Gabriel's. What would this place around us be like if those people who came from Grace Church and then who gathered new folks here, if they hadn't followed that path of God? There's just no telling. Now, on the other side, there are a lot of people in our life or in our circles of media and social media, and even folks that we work with or go to school with or are next door to us, who would want you to join them on another path that may not go anywhere except into trouble or pain or emptiness, or missing that best path of life that God has for you. Now, those people may mean well. Some of them don't, but some do, maybe. And there's nothing wrong with doing something a little different, taking a risk, exploring life. But with the indwelling Spirit within us, you know in your gut what's right, what path, what's positive, what will make your life meaningful and truly happy in the long run. You know deep down what may be entertaining or different for a while, but end up only leaving you messed up with a broken heart, or with somebody's hurt feelings to deal with, or maybe a dented fender, or a headache, or worse. The writer of the first psalm makes it plain and simple. Happy are those who do not follow the advice of the wicked, or take the path that sinners tread, or sit in the seat of scoffers. Of course, you never call people in your life wicked or sinners or scoffers. Well, maybe a few. But you know that feeling when somebody suggests doing something you doubt would really be good and healthy, or sensing that it's anything but happy. Even so, there are times when we're struggling with boredom or sensing a lack of meaning or motivation in our life. We get tired of our routine. We let ourselves get drawn down a path that tends to trouble the heart. It hurts. Without thinking it through, we jump at any opportunity to relieve our life's monotony with sometimes surprisingly tragic results. I think all of us could probably tell stories in our lives. I know I can. When you take that wrong turn, get off that path, and then you have to deal with the consequences. Well, picking the wrong path has been the plot line of movies, a lot of movies for recent years. And one of the best that I saw some time ago is called After Hours. And it's directed by Martin Scorsese, which is kind of weird. It was early for him. But Paul, our hero, is a lonely, bored computer consultant. He wastes his evenings watching TV and simply passing time, until one night he decides to get out and do something, anything. And he goes to a nearby coffee shop and he meets an attractive but somewhat bizarre young woman. And later he calls her, she invites him over, and terrifying hilarity ensues. Moving from one misadventure to another, caused by multiple calamities, mistaken identities, and sometimes just stupid decisions, Paul manages to survive a hellish night. And at one point he says, I just wanted to leave my apartment, maybe meet a nice girl. Now I'm going to die for it. Well, in the end, Paul is dumped in front of his work office building at the start of the next workday, and life goes on. At any one of 100 points along the way, he could have decided to end that night-long misadventure. He could have come to his senses, but then, of course, there wouldn't have been a movie. Well, this scenario of choosing the wrong path, or even just deviating from it for a while, may make for some interesting movies, especially if Hollywood tacks on a happy ending. But it's not much fun, often in real life. So why not be your own person? Go where you want to go, where you feel called to go. Why not choose to do something positive instead of following the herd mentality or doing something stupid just for the thrill of it? You know, we're not lemmings. We're unique children of God. And you can choose another path, one that promises joy and meaning and delight in life. One that God promises is not as pathetic or boring as some may think. In fact, the psalmist says, their delight is in the law of the Lord, and on his law they meditate day and night. Well, here at St. Gabriel's and at St. Paul's, I know, you all are already involved in the personal exploration of God's Word. The point is, get some positive input. Listen to your mothers, or what they would have said. Stay connected with God. Stimulate your mind and your heart with spiritual insights. And do it with other people who care about you. And when we get advice or an invitation we find ourselves wrestling with, let's listen to our inner voice, the Spirit of God within us. We can say no, you know. We can change our minds at any point we find ourselves down a wrong path. We really are that strong in the Spirit of God. And we'll find that the more that we walk in this way, this path that the psalmist talks about, the more we'll see all the pieces of our lives make some sense, working together to form something good and meaningful. The more we walk this way, the more we can trust God to work out those messy things in our lives. Or the more we can accept them as the reality that we must deal with and not get so freaked out about them, but trust God. And the more we walk this path, the more the psalmist's promise can come true for each of us. We are like trees planted by streams of water, which yield their fruit in its season, and their leaves do not wither. In all that they do, they prosper. Sounds delightful, doesn't it? Let's all keep on this path, and we'll all have a truly exciting life in front of us. Let's ask God to guide us, to keep moving in the right direction, to fill our heads and hearts with the good stuff, God's stuff, so that we'll end up growing like that fruit tree by the stream, thriving. And when we do, we'll be as delighted with our lives as God is.